I'm about to recreate Kids by MGMT to learn what makes it so good. We're going to cover things like composition, sound design, songwriting, basically anything that I think made this song what it is. But I'm going to try to do it in a way that anyone can follow, whether or not you make music. We're about to jump in, but first let's lay a quick foundation. So this song came out in 2008, and along with Time to Pretend, it basically launched MGMT's career. But the origins of this song actually go back to 2003, when the band were college students at Wesleyan University. Looks like fun. And the last thing before we start recreating this song, it's basically like internet lore at this point, so you might have already heard about this. But this song actually started basically as a joke. This is a quote from one of the two core members of the group, Andrew Van Weingarten. Ben was studying this incredibly complex music when one day he said, "I'm gonna write the most stupid song possible." It ended up being Kids, which is the entire reason we have a career. So how did the most stupid song possible turn into one of the most recognizable songs of a generation? Let's find out. So this lead synthesizer is actually a really simple sound, but there's a subtle trick they use to keep it a little bit interesting, give it some life. On its own, it just sounds like this. But in the song, they use a subtle LFO, which is going to make the pitch bend up and down. And the pattern is going to look like this. There is actually something going on that I think makes it so sticky as a hook, but I'll tell you about it after I get the drums in because it'll be easier to understand what I'm saying. So, in the intro to the song, the drums are very simple. It's just a kick and a snare, but these drums are surprisingly hard. And by that I mean they're really distorted. The sounds on their own don't have a ton of life to them, but if we add some distortion, and by some I mean a lot of distortion, we get this. Big difference. I'm surprised by how hard the drums are. I feel like I never paid attention to them. The drums bring a lot of energy to the mix, that's for sure. And the last thing that we're going to add to the drums is a gated reverb, which basically means you put a reverb on, but you add a gate, which essentially is going to cut off the end of the reverb. You can see that yellow line popping in. That's the sound starting to get cut off at the end. And the pattern looks like this. It's very simple. And at the end of the bar, there's a drum fill and some clap sounds are brought in, and they have a little bit more stereo width to them. They sound like this. So I've got a theory about what makes a hook interesting or memorable. A pattern that I've been noticing in catchy melodies, basically, is that artists will often establish a pattern and then break that pattern in a satisfying way. And the more you listen to popular music or whatever music you like, the more I think you'll hear what I'm talking about. So if we take a look at our lead synthesizer here, so the first 6 notes are on the beat. Ding, 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 ding. And so it establishes a pattern that it's playing on the beat every time. But after it's established that pattern, it then goes on to immediately break the pattern by switching from the downbeat to the upbeat. Ding, 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 do, 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 do. But what's cool is that it breaks the pattern with another pattern, which is going on the upbeat instead of the downbeat. So it's so easy to digest. It happens and it grabs your attention, but it doesn't throw you out of the moment because you're not struggling to understand it. It's basically the same pattern as the first one, but just shifted over a half a beat. And I think that if you listen to some of the songs that you like, you'll start to see that pattern, especially in choruses, the pattern of establishing a pattern and then breaking a pattern. And for the intro part, the last thing we need is those kid sounds, which they really add a lot of energy to the track too. And they also just cover up how empty it would feel if you only had the lead and the drums playing. So I'm gonna type in kids yelling. It's not exactly the same type of ambience as the original song, but we're just trying to get in the ballpark here. Okay, so that's it for the first part of the intro, and the second half of the intro introduces bass, and it also introduces this synthesizer, this harmony synthesizer, I guess. And we're gonna start with the bass. All right, I would call this a power bass, which is a pretty cool name, but it's basically just like a big fat synthesizer bass. That's what we're working with here. And now it's time to lay down the notes, and it is pretty simple. It goes in this like arpeggiated up and down. So let's lay down this bass line. That's it. Pretty simple, again, but it serves an important purpose, and actually serves two purposes because it fills out the low end of the song, but it also increases the energy and makes the perceived speed feel faster. So as you can see, we already have a pattern developing of building energy, basically. The kids in the very beginning of the intro, before the synthesizer even comes in, establish a base level of energy. And that energy is already pretty elevated compared to a normal song because these kids are like freaking out. They're clearly hype, you know? And then add the drums, which are compressed and distorted like out of their mind, and the synthesizer. That adds even more energy, especially with those drums. And now here we go again, elevating the energy even more. But when keeping the listener in mind, it's like they ease you in a little bit, you know what I mean? They don't just go like, here's everything, deal with it. And the other main element that is going to come in is going to be a harmony synthesizer. The harmony is a little bit more, there's more going on with it. So first we got to get a sound really quick. We've got one note, then we're going to add in the octave above it as well. Just add a little bit of like higher sparkle, and we're also going to add in a fifth above the original note. It adds a little something to it. I don't know how to describe it. And I'm going to play this in. Alright, we're not quite done with the intro yet, but let's listen to just the harmony and the lead synthesizer together. In the harmony synth, it's really focused on rhythmic complexity. It doesn't take attention away, but it just adds this element of depth to the music. There's one more thing to this intro, and it's something that I didn't even notice was there until I started to break down this song. And that is, it's actually surprisingly really hard to tell what it's actually playing. You hear that high-pitched buzziness? It sounds like a sawtooth wave like this, and it also sounds like it has this phase sync chorus on it. So I'm going to play them in just so you can hear what it is, and then I'll bring in some more of the instrumentation as it goes on. I don't know what happened, but I was just listening back to the actual original song Kids, and somehow it just clicked and I heard exactly what's going on a lot clearer than I had before. I'm going to start playing the keys in, and then we're going to bring the bass in and the rest of the instrumentation and build everything out so we can hear from the ground up what everything is doing. Let's bring the bass in. Now the harmony synthesizer. Bring the drums in. Now that kids sample screaming, bring some energy, and now back with the lead synth. So you can really hear how everything has a purpose. There is nothing there that doesn't add something specific and distinct from everything else. The only thing that almost feels like you could take it or leave it would be the children crying, but if we hear it without the children, Now bring the children back in. Suddenly you feel like you're in a crowd, like it adds so much energy. It's like if you had like a jar filled with marbles and then you poured sand in to fill in all the cracks between where all the marbles are. It's just filler, but it's pure energy. So we've got the entire first section complete, and now we go to the first verse, and the energy is about to change. How am I going to describe this? Basically the song, when everything is playing, it's already peaking. And once you're at the peak, there's nowhere to go but back down. So for this first verse, we are going to scale back the instrumental to be bare bones, leave space for the vocals to shine through, and also just give the listener a break for a second. It would get tiring to listen to a song that was all max energy the entire time, because there's no contrast. And contrast is what allows different things to shine because you can appreciate them in comparison to the opposite. I don't know if I'm going to keep any of this because I don't feel like I explained that very well. Anyway, first verse, let's hit the instrumental. So this is the instrument bed for the verse. Very simple, very scaled back, but still has the most important elements, I think. The bass, which adds speed and just a low-end foundation, and the drums, which add a lot of energy, and they maintain the timing and the rhythm. Still stays danceable with these drums. And then in the second half of the first verse, we're gonna have the harmony synthesizer come in as a little bit of ear candy, you know, just something to increase the energy again. It's like building up towards the chorus, and also just keep you entertained, you know? You want to have things popping in and out so that nothing feels boring and nothing feels stagnant. And now the only thing we have to add to this verse is, of course, the vocals. First of all, let's look at the lyrics for a second. You were a child crawling on your knees toward it, making mama so proud, but your voice was too loud. We like to watch you laughing. I like that line. There's a purity to that. You pick the insects off plants, no time to think of consequences. Nice short first verse, one stanza. All good. So these lyrics pretty much set the stage, confirm that this song is in fact relating to kids, I guess. But let's check the genius. Maybe some geniuses have figured out what this song's about. Kids is a song that teaches empathy and moderation. As the melody progresses, so does the next stage of life. When one grows older, they begin to lose their innocence, deprioritize fun, and conform to the mundane ways of society. So true. They must try to maintain the happy-go-lucky attitude and love for life they had as a kid. What a nice sentiment. I personally always thought that they were just sort of nonsense lyrics, but I never thought to look deeper into it. So the lead vocalist of MGMT is Andrew Van Weidengarten, and the other half of MGMT is Ben Goldwasser. Andrew Van Weidengarten is generally the lead vocalist, but they are both credited as performers on this song, and Ben did contribute vocals as well. To talk about Andrew's vocal tone, he has a beautiful sort of vulnerability to his voice. Like it feels a little almost fragile, like it's a little bit wavering in a very pleasant way, in a way that I really like and respect. You were a child, crawling on your knees toward it. So we're gonna record multiple takes at the same time to effectively thicken the voice so that it can maintain the energy and really hold their own against these heavy drums. Obviously, I'm not a professional singer. I'm not Andrew Van Weidengarten, but in the spirit of recreations, I will just try my best. So don't worry about it. Calling on your knees to... Honestly, I'm not a great singer, I would say. So just be warned. You were a child calling on your knees. It's a little bit off. It's not quite right. But the interesting thing is I also hear in the original song a high vocal drenched in reverb. So I took my main vocal and I have it in the background pitched up and going through a reverb. So it sounds like this. It adds a little bit of presence and a little bit of sparkle. And with that, I mean, honestly, my vocal performance was just not quite there. But I also just think that I can't sing that high. Not well, at least. So we have the verse down, and then we go straight back into the chorus at the end of this verse. So for this chorus, we already have all the instrumental elements. All we need to do is add the vocals. Let's take a look at the lyrics really quick. Control yourself, take only what you need from it. A family of trees wanting to be haunted. This line, take only what you need from it, I feel like it conveys a lot without saying much. And it's almost more of a line that invokes a feeling more than any conceptual thought. A family of trees wanting to be haunted. Now that second line is really interesting. A family of trees wanting to be haunted. What do the geniuses have to say? This website is a mess. A reference to family tree. Ah, of course. I never even thought of that, but that makes so much sense. A family tree is impelled to continue long enough to have a past, ancestors that can haunt it. They're saying the family tree wants to extend, you might say. One's old haunts are the places that a person spent time in as youth. The song also encouraging its audience to spend time in nature and create those memories. That sounds a little thin to me. I will also say, sometimes when you're making a song, you just come up with some lyrics and you say, yeah, let's go with that. And they don't necessarily have a predetermined meaning. I'm sure Andrew and Ben know what this line means to them. And I'm not certain that it really matters. All that matters is what the line means to you and how you interpret it. Yeah, I guess we got to record these vocals, and there is a little bit more going on in the chorus vocals than there was in the verse. So what I'm hearing in this chorus is a main vocal doubled, and on either side, a higher background vocal. That I think might be where Ben Goldwasser comes in as these background vocals. So we'll record the main vocal first. Control yourself. Alright, so we've got the lead vocals.
Control yourself. Take only what you need from it.
I'm going to bring that high reverb back into.
Control yourself. Take only what you need from it.
And maybe it sounds kind of weird, but you don't really notice it in the mix. But we also have these new background vocals for the chorus.
Control yourself. Take only what you need from it.
And let's hear that in the entire mix.
Control yourself. Take only what you need from it. A family of trees wanting to be haunted.
The background vocals, once again, heighten the energy even more. It makes the chorus melody feel so much more singable. It's crazy to me, there's no hi-hats. There's no hi-hats in this. It's 4 on the floor, boom, boom, and they could have so easily added the upbeat hi-hat. It's classic house hi-hat. I think that we should probably put that in just to hear what it would have sounded like. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it is not Kids by MGMT. Somehow that upbeat hi-hat is just not what this song is. So now that we have our intro, we have our verse, we have our chorus, we basically have all of the elements of this song. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the other parts of this song, and then we're going to do an interesting experiment, I think, at the end to really see if this song is beautiful songwriting or is it just cool production. So after the chorus, we go into the second verse. It really pulls back everything that we just built up, and it leaves us with this big bass. We also have this strange feedback sort of sound. This feedback sound really sets the vibe nicely. It just adds this bit of atmosphere. And as far as lyrics, I think the second verse, to me, is the strongest verse of the song. I love the contrast. The water is warm, but it's sending me shivers. A baby is born, crying out for attention. The memories fade like looking through a fog mirror. At this point, it really becomes apparent that these bass notes, they're all hitting still the same notes that we've heard this entire time so far. It's just that they're presenting them in a different way, so it feels new even though it really isn't new. The memories fade like looking through a fog mirror, and then the pace picks up again as we're building up energy. You're noticing a trend here, and we get faster lyrics too. Decisions to decisions are made and not bought, but I thought this wouldn't hurt a lot, I guess not. That's entering almost into like teenage years, where you start to realize things are not necessarily as easy as they seemed like they might be when you were a naive child. Before we go into the second chorus, we get the drums doing this little drum fill again. Boom, into the chorus. And after the second chorus, we go into this instrumental interlude where MGMT really lets their freak flag fly. And by that I mean it's very musically complex. It really feels like they're just having fun. And then we have a little breakdown section just to make you wait just for a second before the final chorus. Now moving on to this experiment that I want to do. Someone once proposed this idea to me. I'm not sure, it might have been Rick Rubin, it might have been Mark Rubel. A truly good song will sound good, produced by the top producers in the world, with thousands of dollars of equipment, or whether it's just played on the simplest instrument possible, like an acoustic guitar or a piano. So I've taken the main foundational elements of Kids and put them all on a piano, basically. So we're gonna listen to it and see if it's really a good song or not. It's actually kind of shocking how emotional it feels. You can hear that there is real emotional weight behind the notes being played in this song, and it's not just flashy production. This song is a journey. It really does a wonderful job of being surprising, but also being predictable, pulling in and adding and taking away elements to always make it feel fresh and exciting and like something new is happening. But oftentimes the new thing that's happening is reintroducing something that you already heard in either a new context or at the perfect time. And I mean, I love MGMT. I think that they're like really cool artists. They've got a lot of artistic integrity. That's pretty much it. Your boy is back. So go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and leave a comment of what song you want me to cover next. See you next time.